let's go. We do have some more fun and frivolity on the program today, and some of the modern wrestling. But at the start, we want to make mention, obviously, of the passing of Afa on Hawaii, Afa the Wild Samoan, just a couple of days ago as we speak. And I believe he was 81 years old, but this is it's got to be murder for the family of what they've gone through over the past couple of months. But it's kind of, I don't know, apropos, not ironic, but apropos in a positive way that Afa and Sika went so close together when they were so close and intertwined in all the fans' minds for, so many years, inextricably linked. But when Afa had been battling some health issues for quite some time and had still been kicking out, and everybody was, pulling for him. But obviously, I guess I guess Dave Meltzer announced he had passed on Twitter about a day or two before he did. We may mention that later on.
I'm not sure how much in advance it was, but it was definitely in advance.
It was in advance. But nevertheless, everybody has, given the tributes and etc. And we just honestly, not to try to shirk our duties, but as a professional in his career in wrestling, we just talked about the Samoans when we talked about Sika. So, it might be redundant here, but I think at this point, we could focus more on Afa, after the Wild Samoans, the trainer, the promoter, which obviously he was well thought of, and he had been, what was it, Hazleton, Pennsylvania? Is that his? It's near Allentown. But is that where he was located?
I don't remember the exact town.
I've been there because I worked for Afa. That's the thing I mentioned when we talked about Sika, that that I had not interacted with him nearly as much as Afa, because Sika had lived for years down in Pensacola, Florida, whereas Afa was in eastern Pennsylvania, and that's where his school was. He ran shows around the area for so many years, and especially when I was in Stamford in the office, there was a lot of period of time when I was booking the guys for third-party promotions, or worked for him myself in some cases, when I was on television managing somebody, whatever the case. He was much more present around the office and around, a lot of the guys in the towns when they would do TV in the area. And actually, he was managing Samu and Fatu when we first got there in '93, me and the Heavenly Bodies, right? Because
with Lou Albano eventually.
With Lou Albano, and they were, boy, that was the ugliest group of baby faces that I think I've ever seen in my life. Lou Albano and Samu and Fatu and Afa together. But it was what it was because of the booking at the time. But we got to work with him. So, but Afa was he was a great guy, and I've heard so many people speak so well of him as a trainer. I wasn't at his school and witnessed that, but at his shows, that's one of the people that you could book the WWF talent out who is a third party that you knew they weren't going to be asked to do anything screwy, or there wasn't anything screwy going to be done on the show. He ran professional wrestling shows. And somebody will probably come up with a videotape of, well, look, he did this, and some local manager is quacking like a duck or whatever. But I'm talking about the office knew they weren't going to get bad publicity, offensive wrestling staged here. Guy pulls his fucking pecker out. And nobody was going to be set on fire or, plummeted through furniture. But he ran shows in that area for 20 years, I guess. So you always got your money. Everything was always I'm not saying they didn't run some local shows, but everything was professionally done within the parameters of the environment. And I guess he's been doing still had the training school until, obviously just his health took a turn recently, hadn't he?
I believe so. And, it's interesting to think about the idea that if you were a fan 40 years ago, there were 2 or 3 Samoan wrestlers that you knew. It was Afa and Sika, and then there was Samoan number 3, who eventually became Samu. And you didn't know yet that he was Afa's son. Then eventually you had Tonga Kid, and then Fatu, and in WCW under Paul Heyman actually as the manager, and then Oliver Humperdinck. The 3 of them were together. It's amazing because like in the 90s when you were around, this kind of when everything expanded. And they were a family in wrestling, and then after a while, they were the biggest family in wrestling. And Afa was one of the central figures behind the scenes because he always had a good relationship with Vince.
And that's the thing is there were other Samoans in the 70s. Remember
Right.
Tio and Reno, and Tio and Tapu after Tapu took over from Reno. And it was goddamn, I think Reno's last name was Tufili or whatever. I'm sure they were distant relations because Samoan people come from a fucking island. So somehow distantly, one would think they're all related. But the point is the Anawahi and the Anawahi family overtook all of the other Samoan, not that there were a ton, but the other Samoan wrestlers in the business, and the Quasi, Samoans that tried to get by with being Samoans, and pretty much their bloodline is now the only one existent in the business, isn't it?
I mean, it's the biggest.
On any kind of mainstream level, I guess wait a minute, didn't AEW had some Samoan looking fellows, didn't they?
The Gates of Agony.
Boy, they passed through them a long time ago to watch them, but nevertheless. But anyway, we wanted to recognize Afa, and again, the tribute we did to Sika is available on the YouTube channel, which talks extensively about Afa as well, and the Samoans as a team. But yeah, you can't. They have probably surpassed. I guess by now they have surpassed the Welches and Fullers in terms of just numerical.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
People. Well, no, hold on now, no doubt. Have we got to like 35, 36, whatever?
If you don't count people who weren't actually related, like The Rock or Jimmy Snuka, like various people that they considered cousins or brought in, if you just count the real bloodline, Afa, Sika, Samu, Fatu, Tonga Kid, again, not counting Haku, Rosie and Jamal, Manu, Alpha Jr. was Manu right there. Roman Reigns.
Are you doing this off top of your head?
I am. That's 9. Usos.
I've worked with a lot of these people and I can't fucking do it.
Usos, that's 11. Solo Sikoa, that's 12. I think there's another brother, but I'm not going to count him because I can't verify the other brother.
Did you say Jacob?
Jacob. Oh, so there's 13. So that's just who's on the main stage or has been that I could think of, let alone the other members who have worked it. Yokozuna. I didn't even think of him. Yokozuna. Yeah. So that's 14 right there.
Jeez.
Again, with the Welches and Fullers, if you count the Fields family, that's what really gives it a boost, right?
Yes, but also that means you count in-laws, in which case you've got the people that they married.
Oh, Naomi.
Naomi and the Flying Burrito Brothers.
Well, she glows in the dark. She makes you just want to get up and move. Just get up and glow. Yeah.
Just anyway, Madonna. We're trying to be serious here. We've gone off on a tangent, but the point is, probably, I think, without question, the family dynasty in wrestling that has grossed the most money would be the Anawahis, which started with Afa and Sika. So I think that's a record without question.
How many other wrestling families go 5 people deep? Like the Welchers and Fullers, obviously. The Grahams and kayfabe are certainly a very...
Well, no, but yeah, the Von Erichs.
The Von Erichs.
Golly gee whiz. Now you've...
the Harts.
There were 3 Miller brothers. Yes, definitely the Harts. The aforementioned Welch Fuller Fields Hatfield arrangement. 5.
Well, you know what?
5.
The Rock, if you look at his extended family, technically, Peter Maivia, Rocky Johnson, The Rock, Ricky Johnson. So there's 4 members. I don't know if any of Rocky Johnson's other kids ever did it. I don't think any of them ever did. So that's 4. But 5. 5's the magic number.
So now people are screaming at whatever they're fucking listening to this on, right?
So what we're trying to say is if you work for AEW, now's the time to take time off and procreate.
Oh, good heavens. No, I don't think they're going to be around by the time that your progeny would be of legal contract signing age.
I'm glad they did get that one thing, though, to wrap it up, talking about Afa. I guess it was 4 years ago, kind of when the Bloodline angle story was really starting to take off. They had the moment where Roman was there and he was presented with the red, whatever they call it, necklace of shells or whatever it is.
The Ulafala, but I just feel like I'm mispronouncing it even when I'm not, so I just call it the red lay.
Well, they give him that, Afa and Sika do, at the entranceway, and I thought that's a cool thing that they did that they got that moment,
Yeah.
You kind of think if they were healthier and, they weren't young guys, but they would have been somehow incorporated in everything happening, but it's good that they were at the very beginning.
Well, yeah, because that, and I'm sure that was a Heyman touch. I'm not saying that anybody disagreed with it, but to have that, the elders, to on video, passing the blah, 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 that was a big symbolic deal that people, register on a subliminal basis. It's, some people see it as cool as it is, and others just still it's impressive rather than some wrestling bullshit. So that was very good.
And I always cite it as a match I love. Now's a great time to go back and watch it for anyone who hasn't. It was on the WWE Network. I believe it would still be on Peacock under the WWE old school stuff. Madison Square Garden, October 1984. Babyface Afa versus Dick Murdoch. It is so much fun. You have to watch it. So much fun.
Well, and they knew each other from Mid-South also. So I'm sure, they went back in a number of different territories. So I'm sure that was fun for both of them.
Yeah, remember, they were managed by Ernie Ladd, and then all of a sudden they were with Akbar, and that's when Ernie Ladd said, "Nobody manages the Samoans but me." And he goes to the ring and they turn on him.
Yeah. And Ernie, meanwhile, was dressed like fucking Richard Roundtree in Shaft Goes to Africa. And it's just... And then here came the one-man gang.
One-man gang.
Who had just been managed by me as Crusher Broomfield in fucking Tennessee, making $350 a week, and suddenly goes to Mid-South and becomes the one-man gang and splashed Ernie Ladd's leg and broke it.